Welcome to Collaboration Conversations. I'm your host, Regina Partain Bergman, CEO of Bridgeport Strategy. I am delighted to have another co-host with me today and amazing panelists that she has brought with her. I'm so excited to meet these ladies and learn from them. I know they have much to teach all of us. So first, though, I'd like to welcome my co-host, Lynell Shattls. Welcome, Lynell. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fabulous. I'm fabulous. So, Lynell is an executive leadership coach, and I'm going to let her share more about her story, who she serves, and why, so we can get to know her a little bit better. Lynell, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Regina. So I'm Lynell Shattls, located in Southwest Washington, but I serve people all over the country. I'm an executive and leadership coach, and I love to work with people to help them through what's blocking them. So oftentimes clients will say, well, gosh, why couldn't have I got that myself? And that's why people work with coaches, because sometimes we're blocked by our own stuff in the past. So I work with anyone from middle management up to figure out what's blocking them and to also help them to be more efficient and more effective and strategic in their leadership roles. I love to work with those that have children because I love to work with the whole family and serving them. So I'm going to work with those clients with their career, but also what fills them up outside of their work as well. And I'm often noted for bringing more adventure into clients' lives because I think that's a really important piece, is to find out what your passions are outside of your work. Also known for being a military spouse. And so people are attracted to me because I have that understanding of what it is to be a military personnel or the spouse. So, and that's a little bit about me. Started originally in human resources, which is why it really brings this full circle to be able to be on the other side and helping people grow in their careers and their lives.
Awesome. I love it. And sorry, was having a little issue with the screen there. Something happened that has never, as many shows as I've done, that's never happened. So apologize for that. I'm so glad that you're here, Lynell, and you have brought several amazing women with you. Will you please introduce each of them, have them share a bit about their journey, who they serve, and why?
Right. Absolutely. So let's start out with Jill Levine. Jill is in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I met her through my coaching program. And I would love for her just to share a little bit more about where she is and what's brought her to this place, and give us that great background of why I was so attracted to Jill and why we've become very good friends.
Thank you, Lynell. As Lynell said, we met in our coaching program and we became fast friends. We had a lot of coaching time together from almost the very start of our program. And I think both being moms, we had a lot in common in our world outside of work, and both being working moms, we had a lot of in common in our work and a lot of passion behind coaching. So as Lynell has developed her kind of niche and specialty, I've moved in a little bit different direction in terms of really working with people in kind of a hybrid manner. I also do energy work. And so I have my professional coaching certifications, emphasis in transitions and well-being, as well as doing a whole host of other things that are not coaching specific that really help people clear limiting belief systems in an entirely different way. So I combine coaching and something called dowsing into major transitions for people. So moving through life from one phase of life to another, that might be career, that might be divorce, that might be having kids for the first time, it might be having kids leave the home, and finding yourself in retirement and not knowing what to do with some of those energies. Other times I help people simply feel better. That's one thing my clients say consistently over and over again is, I just feel so much better after our conversations. So helping them find a way to release old energies, helping them find balance, helping them find well-being and what that looks like for them, and creating a life that feels better, that's less chaotic. So that's a little about me.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Jill. Next, Cheney, if you're at a place where you can share, this is Cheney Comfort. We met gosh, only maybe 6 months ago at a yoga class. And I was, again, attracted to her energy. And I was like, I want more of that. And I just kept finding myself wanting to be in her space. She is a realtor as well as a yoga teacher and really is an empowerment for women. And so I am, everything she posts, I'm like, yes, yes, like, love, love, because I just feel that energy and I feel such a connection to her. So Cheney, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you, Lynell, and thank you for having me again. I'm just honored to be alongside just powerful women who are working at a high frequency. Always, I guess, I am real estate is my kind of bread and butter, but women are my passion. And I think just rising up and kind of breaking through some of these like patriarchal limitations that we just have systematically been a part of. So I don't coach or anything at this time. And also, I'm a huge advocate for all the work all of you are doing in the world. I want to shine a light on you and I want your work to reach the world. So, however, I can help that, I would love to connect with each of you on what you offer and just where I can play a role in getting you in front of people. So, I'm a connector. I like to bring people together and just let magic form. So, here we are.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, you are a testament to that. So, and Cheney is in Camas, actually Washougal, which is the town for me in Camas, Washington, here in Southwest Washington. Next, we have Lisa and Thimish. Lisa and I met also through, close enough, maybe she can correct me. We met through IPEC as well, through a group for coaching. And Lisa is located out in Inman, Kansas, so near Wichita, Kansas. And we have, again, like just the connections, like we met probably about a year ago. And this is a lady that I'm texting probably on the daily lately. So we have lots of connections as well too. So Lisa, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about where you are in your journey.
Yes. Yeah. And thank you also for having me be part of this. Very honored. It's Lisa Timish. So some silent letters in there, very hard to always pronounce versus the way it's spelled. I am a leadership coach. I've been a leadership coach now for a few years, but my background is actually in the pharmaceutical industry. So I'm actually a quality director for a pharmaceutical facility and have been a leader of some sorts within that type of organization for more than 20 years. So I bring a lot of leadership experience to my coaching. I really got into coaching because I was starting to ask those questions of what's next. What is it that I truly love about the job that I'm in? And how can I take that love and make it even more? So I do really love empowering people, giving them tools to be the best leader that they can be, because the reality is leaders have such an impact, and it can be a positive impact and it can be a negative impact. So if I can help a leader be the best self that they can possibly be, they're going to have that positive impact on the people that they work with and they lead. So that's really where my focus is. That supervisory role, which is very challenging, especially if you're a first-time supervisor, up into that middle management, those director levels. On the side, I do have some passion projects that I'm working on with some other moms in the area. And we've created a workshop. It's called Empower You. And it's very specifically designed for mothers and daughters, or daughters and their maternal figure in their life. And it is sessions where they come in and they get professional photographs, they get coaching sessions, they get advice on how to really change some of those thoughts that they're having. This is such a hard time to be a young girl. There's so much influence out there. And so it's really trying to give them that power back on who they can be as their best self. And that's really my base of coaching and as a whole, whether it's working with these young girls and moms or working with leaders. I really just want to help people be the best self that they can be. That personally fills my cup probably more than it fills theirs.
Awesome. Thank you. I love what you're doing in that space. Next, we have Catherine Roos. Catherine is also here in the Camas, Southwest Washington area. And again, this is somebody that I met more recently. And again, this attraction and this connection was right away. We talked for probably an hour when we first met. We had a lot of mutual friends, and we started to realize that our daughters were friends through youth group. And it was just like, we kept going, oh, and this, and then this, and then this. And so it was really fun and really sad because we will be leaving here in a few short months. But I know I've made lots of great friends here in the community that will stay with me, because some of my best friends are no longer in the same space with me. And so, Catherine, I think that you will be one of those people I will stay connected to. Catherine comes from healthcare. Actually, I'm seeing a theme here because Jill's in the healthcare, doing some marketing there. And Catherine was a healthcare executive for many years at Providence Hospital here. And just shortly, maybe a year ago, left that and decided to go out on her own and had some work that she wanted to do. And so she's making a big difference. She's working in consulting, and she also has a certification from the Maxwell Leadership Academy. I think that's what it's called. So I'll turn it over to you, Catherine, to take it from here.
Thanks, Lynell, and thanks so much for having me. It's such an honor. Yeah, so my name's Catherine Rouse. I live in Camas, Washington, so I'm neighbors with Lynell and Cheney, and it's just awesome to get to see them in the community. Yeah, so my background, I led large teams in healthcare for the last 17 years. Prior to that, centralized and worked in large customer contact centers. So my background is customer experience, contact centers, patient experience. And then my last year at Providence, I was a leader in caregiver experience within the revenue cycle, which was really rewarding. So a couple years ago, I decided to go out on my own and start Rise Coaching and Consulting. And I serve primarily, I work with people in leadership, but I also coach people going through career transitions. I work with parents. My husband and I have now joined Marriage Team, and we are marriage coaches. So that's been a new fun thing that we're doing. And I really have a heart for the youth as well. So I'm a young life leader in our community. I volunteer for Teach One to Lead One in the classrooms where we teach universal principles to students, and also volunteer for Pathways Pregnancy Resource Clinic. So when I left, I really wanted to have a balance in my life when I left corporate America, where, you know, when you're an executive level, you're working 40 to 60 plus hours a week. And I wanted to be able to work part-time and then serve the community part-time and serve others. And so I've been able to do that. My main client is a health system in California where I work part-time. And primarily what I do is I went in to do customer experience consulting with them, and it transitioned into more of leadership coaching and development. And what I absolutely love to do is to put team building retreats together. I'm a certified DISC consultant through Maxwell Leadership Program, as Lynell mentioned. So I love to do communication assessments, do team building events, and just pull people together so that we can all communicate better. So that's a little bit about me. So thanks for having me on.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
What an amazing group. I'm so excited to learn from all of you today. And I know our audiences are going to love this as well. So as I was listening to you, something you said, Cheney, something you said, I believe, made me think about a question for us to start with here. And you talked about that you really like helping women to rise up and break through those limitations that you call them patriarchal limitations that exist. So I with the energy in this room of each of you in this room, I think I'd like to kind of go in that direction a bit to start with about collaboration. And my question then is, how do you help someone? What do you say to someone to help them down the road of collaboration along this subject line, along this, how we do rise up and break through these ceilings? How do we use collaboration to do that? And this is an open discussion, ladies, so feel free to be unmiked and chime in as you have something to say, as you've got something to add to the discussion. So I'm excited to hear from you. Lynell?
One thing I will say is that 99% of the time, I'm going to ask my clients who their mentor is. Who can they go to that's gone the road before them? Because although I love coaching, mentoring is a different animal. It's somebody that can really give you advice because they've walked in those paths before. And so I think that's really important to have mentors in your life, whether that's career or whether that's a new mom. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like my sister, I would say my sister was a mentor for me when I was becoming a new mom, because I was like, you just had a baby before me, so tell me what to do. And so I think that's really powerful to get that knowledge. And, we run tandem coaching and mentoring and therapy and all kinds of things because they serve different purposes. So I think that that's the biggest thing is having that mentor and not to be afraid to ask, because there's no stupid question. And we've all been there. And if people say no, well, go find somebody that really is your champion. I mean, I could look to any one of these ladies in the room today and I know that they would be there to support me.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would actually say, for me personally, collaboration is not something that I put a lot of energy into or even recognize the benefit of it until probably the last 2 to 3 years. And I read something recently where, a lot of men work at networking and a lot of women work at working. So we very much put our head down and we do our job and we let that speak for who we are and let that
Right.
speak for what we bring to the table. So what I have learned is I have to put myself out there. I have to find those like-minded people. I have to find people that I admire, that I want to maybe be a little bit like, and just do that reach out. I live in a pretty remote location, within the United States. And so for me, a lot of that now is virtually. And I think that the possibilities have become unlimited because of all of the technology and all of the different social
Yes.
media that we now have at our hands. So I truly find people that there's something about them that's a little unique and inspiring. And I'm like, oh, I want to be part of their circle. I want to some of that energy. I want to be part of what they're giving off. And so I'll just be vulnerable and reach out there and, say, hey, let's connect and try to take it from there.
Excellent.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Just that's how I got to know Lynell. I saw something posted and she was recognized as one of the best coaches in the Portland metro area. And she kept popping up on my social media and I'm like, I got to get to know that lady. So I literally, I'm not a stalker. Okay. But I do, like, if people keep popping up, I feel like maybe I'm supposed to connect with that person. So that's how I connected with Lynell. And as I was reflecting, when you've been in corporate America or been leading for so many years and you're surrounded by such an amazing team of people and they all have different skills and strengths and they just make a strong team, which I was very blessed to serve on an amazing team. When I made the leap and went into like my own business, what I realized was, oh my word, I don't have my team anymore. There's all these things I don't know how to do. And so, Jim Rohn, there's that quote out there, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I think that's so powerful. So I'm always seeking who are my 5 people that I'm going to spend the most time with and surround myself with. And are they bringing me up or are they bringing me down? And so Lynell was one of those people. And so I'm so grateful she agreed to meet me for coffee one day and share her experience as a coach. And then speaking to going out on business on your own, that's scary. And so I ended up saying, okay, what am I not great at? Okay, I don't know how to do QuickBooks and invoice people. I don't know how to make a website. I don't know all these things I didn't know how to do. So I literally found a virtual assistant and someone to help me with QuickBooks and a graphic designer and still working on the social media thing. But, those are the sorts of things that you need to find community and people that will build you up and come alongside you, because we're this group of ladies here and all the people I interact with, we're not in competition with each other. We all
Right.
want to see each other rise and thrive in whatever it is that they do. So.
I think one of the things, I love what you had to say there, Catherine. I think one of the things that happens with groups like this is we bring more of that feminine energy back into the workplace. For years, we have all, and we love you guys, but we're the females. We need our energy, not yours. And so, I think though so often in order to fit into corporate America and into different environments, we've taken on that masculine energy. And now we're seeing a rebirth of that, of women living in their own energy and not feeling like they have to take on that masculine energy. And I think too, what we see is that difference between women working in corporate together versus women working independently together, having our own businesses. I think there's a huge difference in that relationship. Less competitive, more supportive, right? Again, I think that has some to do with that masculine versus feminine energy.
Yeah. Just a sidebar on that, Regina. It's so interesting. When I first started in my coaching business, I was going to work with women going through transitions, all of this was women. And when I started moving into executive and leadership coaching, a lot of male clients selected me. And I was like, God, what are you doing? Like, what's happening here? What message am I supposed to learn? And so, again, this isn't male bashing. I have learned
Not
so
at
much
all.
about myself and about them, and just such kind, considerate individuals I've been having the privilege of coaching over the last few years here. So it's been really awesome, because yes, there's a lot of male energy. And that was what was stuck in my head. The story I was telling myself on repeat was that I left corporate for a reason. I didn't want to be in that energy. I wanted to be different, but it's fun to be reminded of those reasons sometimes of why you're doing what you're doing, and to break those messages that you're sending that maybe weren't truthful.
Yeah. Something else that you said, Catherine, I'd like us to spend a little more time on too, as well as continue with comments about the initial question. But you talked about when you went out on your own, you discovered, that you didn't have that work support system in terms of people being able to do this, or this. But I would venture to say you also probably struggled a bit with the lack of personal support at the same time.
Yes, but I'm someone who makes friends quickly, and so if
I'm
like
sure.
when the pandemic hit, for example, and we were all sent to work remotely, that absolutely was so challenging for me. I don't know about all of you, but I found myself going to Starbucks every single day because I found community at Starbucks, and they
Community.
knew my order, and so I did, it was challenging leaving corporate America and having that support system and all those
Yeah.
amazing people I was blessed to serve alongside, and try to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So I'm now, almost 2 years since leaving. And so I'm finally feeling like I'm getting my footing and have my community of people that support me. And we, vice versa, we support each other. But I would also take with what Lynell said. Um, so I really like to work with corporate clients on retainer, and then I go in and coach the team.
Right.
Um, and it's interesting because most of the people reaching out to me for coaching are all men. I only have one or two female clients right now. So it's
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheney, did you want to offer anything? Because I know that you
Yes,
were the
please.
impetus for this last round
Yes,
of questions. So
exactly.
Yeah, I think I mean the biggest I think lesson I've had in my meat suit up until this point is that where the collaboration isn't happening and the vibration isn't high and the women aren't empowered, we first will be alone. I see you doing that. For several of you, I'm sure have done that in your communities. But I sort of found myself in also sort of a remote community, rural, where I sort of dimmed my light. Okay, you don't want me to be too loud, and okay, I'm too much, and yes, I'll put a bigger sweatshirt on or whatever. I read all the messages around me that were like, you're too much, be quiet, you're shining too bright, all this. And so I I adapted to that room for a while, about 4 years, until I
Mm,
finally kind of broke away. And I was very alone for a long time. I mean, it felt like a long time, but when we go first and say, I I'm gonna find a higher frequency. I'm gonna create a higher frequency. I'm gonna be the higher frequency. The collaboration just takes care of itself. But the law of reciprocity, right? Here we
exactly.
are. Yeah, and
mhm.
we start attracting these powerful women. I mean, Lynell and Catherine are both here in my community, and I'm watching them blaze a trail through this community. It's happening. So it takes care of itself in that place of surrender, reciprocity, I think.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else on that first question have something? Jill?
Well, so the one thing that I'm hearing from everybody is the willingness to go first, the willingness to be vulnerable, the willingness to offer themselves to say, hey, come alongside me, let's go do great things. And it's not from a place of competition, but collaboration. But it takes that willingness to open our voices and to be heard and to be brave and to do it from that place of vulnerability. So it's inspiring to listen to everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I'd like to go down that road of reciprocity a little bit, because that is a huge factor in collaboration, is it not? Uh, Let's talk about that a little bit. How does that play in? What does that mean in terms of establishing good collaborations? Where does reciprocity fit in?
Can I jump in?
Please.
So one thing that we're often taught is it's better to give than to receive.
Right.
But if we're in a situation of reciprocity, there has to be someone that's willing to receive. So dropping that idea of it's not better to give than to receive, but it's great to give and it's great to receive.
I like
so
that.
if we have a whole community of people that want to give, but there's no one that says, yes, I need this right now. And understanding that there's a balance to be had. There are some days where we're going to be in a place where our cups are overflowing. We have more than we need. We can give. But there are other days, life is hard sometimes, and we can find ourselves in places where we have to receive. And when we
Right.
live for sometimes decades with this idea of, I can do it by myself, I can do it on my own. Strong people don't need to say yes to help. We'll power through.
Yeah.
We lose the opportunity to say yes to our own community. We
Yes.
lose the opportunity to be in the other shoes of the other person, because when things come full circle and we come back around again and we're back in a place where we can give, we know what that feels like on the other side.
Yeah.
And we give from a different place when it's that way.
Yes.
So that balance is really important.
Yeah.
Great wisdom in that response, Jill. Thank you.
Yeah. And as Jill, as you were saying that, it just made me think generational differences too of asking for help. My goodness, like I've been asking for help all the time because my husband is outside of St. Louis right now, and I'm out here with the Carols. And so I'm asking for help all the time. But I think back to my mom maybe wasn't a role model for that because she was very strong, single mom, and was like, I got it, and never
Mine
would
too.
admit to that weakness. And just maybe it's not weakness, but it's just, hey, I can't do it all myself. And so
Yeah.
I'm definitely asking for help all the time like that. But yes, I think this give and receive idea that Jill is saying is true, because I mean, I've been in connection with people who are like, well, if I do this for you, will you do that for me? And it's like, it doesn't have to be a tit for tat sort of thing.
Right.
But Jill's a prime example, like her services with dowsing. I mean, it's coming up a lot in my mind as far as there's people that could use this. And so just sharing that, but it is also asking for the help too. And people are like Cheney said to me, hey, tell me more about who you serve, because people come to me for coaching and I don't want to coach, but I want to be able to refer out. And so just this exchange of energy of like, hey, I can't be all things for all people, but I love to network and I love to connect and to share what would be helpful for somebody else, especially with moving so much. I'm asking for help and I'm always giving recommendations of like, this is who you should go to for what.
Yeah.
And the thing is when
Oh,
you reach
yes,
out
please.
and people actually want to help you. So
Yeah.
I think I was always hesitant to ask for help. I was like to be in control. And most recently, I felt like I was supposed to host or sponsor a leadership event in downtown Camas where we live. And I like was sponsoring this big event, just throwing it out there, hoping people showed up. And we were almost sold out. And I went around to the different businesses in the community and I asked them if they would like to partner with me and I would advertise for them. And the print shop donated the print materials. The hotel gave everyone discounts on the hotel. I mean, everywhere I went, they were like,
Nice.
this sounds amazing. You're bringing this to the community. Of course, we're going to support you. And it ended up being a really successful event that was, I kind of threw it together in 3 or 4 weeks and we were almost sold out. So it's just like sometimes you just need to ask. And John Maxwell shared, I was just at his conference in Orlando earlier this month, and he shared something that he always asks people when he meets with me is, who do you know that I need to know? So I really am going to adopt that. Like as I get to know people, and I don't like necessarily the word networking, but as I'm connecting with people, who do you know that I need to know? Because
Yeah.
we're stronger together, and sharing our connections are going to help all of us, right? So
Absolutely.
I think that's another twist on it when you think about maybe not necessarily what can I give or receive from that collaboration, but if you go in with the mindset of we all have something to teach and we all have something to learn. And to me, that was a bigger wake up call for me when it comes to this collaboration is no matter who you are, what walk of life you've come from, even if maybe you're on my team and you report up through me, I still have something I can learn from you. And if I use that mindset in these collaborative types of environments, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
And so if you are that strong person that has a hard time accepting help or asking for help, maybe that reframing is just, well, what do I have to learn, or what can I potentially teach? Because we are all teachers, and we all have the ability to learn and have something to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheney, did you have something to add there?
I just think about just of just taking care of people, and everything else just kind of happens after that. When we just show up and love people and let ourselves be loved.
Yeah.
I'm feeling some potency myself. Lynell and Catherine know our community's being rocked on a personal level, and I just, I almost canceled today, and then I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna show up and just love them and let myself get loved, and that's just it. It's the showing up, and it's the keeping eyes open for collaboration and opportunity. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It is indeed.
Only not everywhere when we choose to believe so. So that's just so potent to me right now, as I'm sitting with the irony of it.
Cheney, and you do it so well. You're one of the most inspiring people that I follow on social media. You're so incredibly genuine and transparent, and your stories, what you share is anytime you're on, I'm like, oh, I got to watch that. You're such a light in our community. And so we're so glad that you did show up today. And I know it's been a rough week, but what you bring is so incredibly valuable. And we just love you.
Likewise. And that's just it. There's no effort here. This is just the result of being in our flow.
Yeah. And I think Lisa made a good point a few minutes ago too. We have to reach that place of awareness around it, so that we can then see those opportunities, embrace them, create them, and so what would you say to, again, somebody who's sitting out there and really hasn't caught on to the power of collaboration, to the beauty of collaboration? How would you encourage them to open their vision for that, to open their world up to the possibilities that come through collaboration?
I think that most of us would probably try to coach them through that situation and get them to come up with it on their own.
We all are coaches, aren't we?
Yeah. I don't know that any of us would come right out and say, you need to do this, because the realism is that when it's our idea, we're owning it a little bit more. So, it's really exposure. Being able to let them witness it themselves, bringing them into your fold, maybe in a situation like this where it's a small group, but just being able to participate and see the value that comes from that collaboration. I'm very much about, being with like-minded people. And obviously we draw those types of individuals in. So the more that we can pull people into the positive and the collaborative, systems and places and with people that want to give that love, I think that then people feel it and they want more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Anybody else?
I would just say helping them to understand what doors it opens versus what doors it closes. So the opportunity just like it starts to flow in. I mean, any one of us, when your energy and Catherine and I were talking about this earlier, when you're like vibing at this space where you're like opportunity starts to become everywhere, and you're like, wow. And that's where the collaboration too of like, I can't handle all this because all this goodness is coming. Hey, Jill, can you handle? Hey, Cheney, can you handle it? Like, all of it, just that abundance, sharing that, because it's just, there will always be more. And so it gets you away from this scarcity mentality that I don't have enough or there won't be enough. And it's like, we always know there will be more. And so that collaboration just raises that level higher and higher. And so that we can just, our cup is overflowing and we can continue to give more versus thinking that we have, that cup half empty, it's a half full. And so I think that it just gets you into that space.
Beautiful.
Yes, echo that. I think that's so true. I think when we're in alignment and we're in flow and we're showing up fully and wholly and authentically, it's like the good comes so hard and fast. You can barely like manage the gratitude that comes, right? And then life happens and you get smacked on your ass, and I'm kind of pulling myself up from that right now after being in flow for several months and kind of going like, oh my gosh, now how did I get here? But it is just showing up. It's not the why. It's not the why I'm here today, because I don't really know why. I just feel an honor to be alongside leaders. It's not the what will I get. It's not the what's in it for me. It's the I'm vibrating at these women's frequency, and I'm just going to be there with them. And there's going to be this thing that happens, and I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's trying to launch some yoga retreats right now, and she's really caught up on the numbers and how nobody's signing up and what am I doing wrong and what I don't know what to do. And there's this, like you said, Lynell, like the scarcity of like not enough. And I'm like, stop looking at registration, just show up. The right people, the perfect people are going to be there, and just pour into that and then let it just continue. But we get so caught up on like the what, the why, the how much. And I think when we set that aside, it's infinite.
Yeah. Agreed.
And Cheney's comments speak to that masculine versus feminine approach, kind of the way our world was programmed with the answer the questions versus being in flow and trusting.
Yeah. Very good. Anybody else on that? Lisa or Catherine? No? Okay. All right. So just trying to think of the next best question for us here. This has been a great conversation, and you ladies obviously know how to collaborate with one another and with others, and you have such great energy and great attitude. It's a delight to be here with you today. So I think what we'll do is move into our wrap-up round. And I'm going to ask Lynell to run the wrap-up round. And what we're going to do is she will call on each of you to share your final thoughts about collaboration and your contact information. Okay? So, Lynell, I'll turn that over to you.
Okay, let's go reverse this time. Catherine, we'll start with you. Any last thoughts, any quotes, anything that you're like, wow, I didn't have a space to put that into a question that was asked, but here's something else I wanted to share around collaboration. And don't forget to tell us where we can find you.
Sure. So I did write down, I just put collaboration is key to all of our success, and everyone has different strengths and skill sets. And it's just so important that we all find our tribe, right?
Mhm.
And so I just wanted to share that with the group. And then I own Rise Coaching and Consulting, as I mentioned before. So you can find me at www.rise, R-I-S-E, coachconsult.com. And then my email is Catherine@risecoachconsult.com. And
Awesome.
I am located in Camas, Washington, but most of my clients are all across the country. So thank you for having me on, Lynell.
Yeah, thank you for joining us and sharing that information as well. Let's see. Let's go to Lisa next. Lisa, what final thoughts do you have that you would like to offer? Any ahas or insights that you're taking away from today's conversation?
No, I mean, I think this was just awesome. I don't know that we all put a lot of time and energy into thinking about collaboration. So this was really good to put some thoughts out there. Again, I would just highly recommend be vulnerable. But the other beauty of it is be authentic. When you're collaborating with other people, that gives you that space. They don't know you. They don't know your past. They don't know, what you've done or who you are, where you're going. So you have the ability to be your authentic self, which does require vulnerability. And remember that you've got something to teach just as much as you have something to learn. And going into it with that benefiting to everybody, or the win-win mentality, really you can't go wrong. Every experience is a learning experience, good, bad, or otherwise. So
Thank you.
yeah. And my coaching business is called Lasting Coach. So my website is www.lastingcoach.com. And my email address is lastingcoach@yahoo.com.
Awesome.
Thanks
Thank you
again for
sharing.
including me.
Of course. Cheney, any parting thoughts, and let us know how to find you.
Yeah. So a parting thought I just had was that I learned something came evident to me recently, and it was that there's going to be the rooms that I'm sharing from the trough, right? In these collaborative rooms, these spaces alongside women like you, the women who are willing to be healed and they want to heal. And then there's the women that I'm leading, the ones who are looking to me to lead them. And when I started learning the difference of being able to like not separate or judge or divide spaces, but to understand, in this room I lead, in this room
Mm.
I be led. And when I the difference of that in the way that I'm interacting in the world and in my communities, it became so clear that I come into these rooms for collaboration, but it's not fair for me to walk into some of the rooms where I'm leading and expect that same collaboration where I'm actually being expected to lead. And so that learning that is powerful. And it was for me anyways, to know where to get fed and where to feed. If that makes
That's awesome.
I don't say
Yeah.
that from hierarchy or ego
Mm-mm.
of it. I saved myself when I stopped placing expectations on people who weren't able to be here in this space, like have these, when I was able to release that, I was able to collaborate on a stronger level, so I see you guys as leaders, like I barely feel worthy of being here, truly. And that's collaboration, is getting in people who feel smarter and more healed and more above the curve than me. And that's been life changing for me. And
Awesome.
comfort. And I'm just on Instagram and Facebook. I have a website if you're looking for a house. I'm not coaching at this time. I don't know what my future holds as far as coaching or maybe some group coaching. I don't know. But right now you can just find me on Instagram and Facebook, and we can be friends and you can be in my world.
Awesome. Thank you. And they will be inspired. So it's Cheney Comfer, ChaneyCompher. You're on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah,
So,
but not very active. So
okay. Thank you. And Jill.
So there were a few things that popped into my head as I was listening to everyone today around the collaboration space. I've spent 20 years working in a healthcare organization that went from 2,500 employees to more than 30,000 in the time that I've worked there. And I've worn lots of different hats in that time. I'm a community health educator by title right now, but I do a lot more than that title says in lots of interesting pockets of our organization. And because I've been in so many different roles, as I reflect over all of the success points, it's all been based in collaboration. There's nothing that I have done in 20 years of work where I haven't been successful because of my team, or because I've had an incredible leader, or because I wasn't afraid to go to someone on our senior executive team before I presented to them to say, I need the meeting before the meeting. And making sure I had the right people in the room, the right ears, the right background. And all of it came from being courageous, from being willing to speak, from being willing to be vulnerable, and from seeking people out that were in higher level roles, that were in higher title roles, and going to them and saying, I need help with this. Can you help me understand? I need more information about. This is going to be very political. It will have a ripple into the community. This could create problems. Can you help me? and being as open and being willing to be helped. It wasn't about walking into a room and having all of the answers. It was about walking into a room, having had done homework, having had the right conversations with the right people, knowing that there was collaborative support walking in the door. So all of those things are not easy. It's not easy to be courageous. It's not easy to be vulnerable. It's not easy to start the conversation, especially when there could be a lot of heavy ripple effects. That's also true in our personal world. So for somebody who's never worked in a corporate environment, who's maybe never even worked outside the home, they're still having important conversations with people that impact their worlds, whether it's the neighbor, whether it's someone at their kid's school, whether it's advocating for a parent in elder care living. We all have to have these moments where we learn that it's okay to speak, and we figure out who we can invite into these collaborative spaces that are safe. So to your other question about where to start, we start small. You know, it's one step forward. It's a toe into the water. It's just trying one thing with one person and seeing how it goes. And with each success, and as coaches, we see this with our clients, small successes build. And then there's this circle or this cycle of self-efficacy that gets built from, I did this thing and I won, and I did this thing and I won, and I did this thing and I won, and I did this thing and I learned. So that each step forward is either learning or making progress, but we can't do it in isolation. The Surgeon General in this last year has talked about the social isolation and loneliness pandemic across the country. And in the Bowling Alone book, they say this didn't start 4 years ago. It didn't start with a pandemic. It started with television, when all of a sudden people didn't have to leave their house to collaborate. They didn't have to leave their house to have their social network or for entertainment. They could sit in their living room. And so we now have decades of people being more isolated and more alone. And collaboration is an incredible way to end that. And it just takes one person saying, I would like some help, or I've thought this idea would be really cool. Would you join me? It's a question. And sometimes those questions can be hard to ask because we're so afraid of not being worthy or being rejected or being left alone. But if we don't find the courage to ask the question, we guarantee we stay stuck. So those are my closing thoughts. Like the other women here, I see clients all over the country. You can find me at my website, which is Jill D. Levine, JILL, D for Danielle, LEVINE.com. And my email address is jill@jilldlevine.com. So thanks for having me. Thank you, Lynell. Thank you, Regina. Thank you to everyone here. It's been lovely to share energy with you all.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And I will just share kind of I was seeing such themes in and out of, like, the being fed and being the feeder, being the teacher, being the student, giving and receiving. And it just, again, we have to ask and put ourselves out there. I can't tell you how many times clients, their cup is so filled up when somebody asks for their help, when they're the mentor and they're serving and they're bringing people up along the way. They've been there before, but flipping that script and saying, I need some help. Can you find somebody else? They're like, oh, and I have to remind them, I'm like, remember how good it felt when somebody asked and said, you're somebody I aspire to be. I can think of this one gentleman that I worked with that I'm really thinking of him as I'm saying this. I've had other people, but yeah, I mean, he was like, this model of how to keep it all together. Young children in the house, booming career, and people were coming to him. But he needed to see somebody else that had been successful as he was continuing to rise up, and how to do that because he hadn't been there before. So yeah, those are just some things that came up for me. And I love this quote I wanted to share. It's actually on the bottom of my email. It's, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And I think it's so true, is to continue to shine your light and to be strong and to be so powerful, because you were designed for greatness, and not to dim that. And when you need to have that, and I think that Cheney needed to hop off here, but go to people like you have in the room today, and they will help to rise you up when you're feeling weak, when you need that light shined on you, when you're feeling like I can't go on. They're going to be there to just when you're feeling the weakest, and they're going to grab your arms and they're going to go, you know what, I have you. I'm just going to hold you right here. So You can find me. My company is Leap of Faith Coaching, and the reason it's called Leap of Faith Coaching is because I took lots of leaps of faith along the way when I was changing careers from accounting to human resources to wellness to consulting to my coaching, and so that is something really important. And in fact, when I left corporate, that was a huge leap of faith. Thank you, God, because you just supported us all the way on that one. So. But my website is called LynellShattls.com. So it's LynellShattls.com. And you can also find me on email at Lynell, Lynell, at LynellShattls.com. So thank you all for just joining us today. It's been such a rich collaborative conversation. I hope that our viewers are enjoying all these wonderful messages that you ladies have shared today.
As do I. This has been wonderful, ladies. Let me just finish putting Lynell's contact information there. We've got everybody's information out there. Thank you so much. This was so rich. What a great group. The perfect combination here, Lynell. Great choices in your panelists. And I just love the example that each of you are to women throughout the world, and anyone, male or female, who's thinking of collaboration and wondering, what's the benefit in it for me. You're all just a great example of those benefits, and thank you so much. Again, Lynell, thank you for being our co-host today. Thank you all for watching, for joining us. We hope you'll come back again and see us here on Collaboration Conversations. Bye for now.